Do you like women's sports? Sports across the gender spectrum? How about you're sick of men's sports? Well, that's what we're here to talk about.
On this show, we work to level the sports coverage across the gender spectrum.
Welcome to Balance Sports.
I'm Hunter.
I'm Jewelz.
Let's get into it.
Welcome back. Let's get into this game. Let's start with the All Star reserves as they have been announced.
The reserves are Ariel Atkins, Kalia Copper, Skylar Diggins-Smith, Derica Hamby, Natasha Howard, Ryan Howard, Brianna Jones, Jewel Lloyd, Emma Meesman, Arike Gumbawale, Alyssa Thomas, and Courtney Vandersloot. And they will be joining the starters who have already been announced.
Gotcha. You know what? I'll start with Ryan Howard, the rookie Ryan Howard. Congratulations. First year in the league and making an all-star team.
And give her flowers. She's their only selection from Atlanta. She looks incredible, and I feel like she has that all-star factor. I don't think her stats maybe are as high as they were at the beginning of the season.
For sure.
They're just plateauing. But that's still saying plateauing for her on a rookie season looks like an all-star year. That's freaking incredible for your rookie campaign.
Oh, and so BG is also a reserve, an honorary reserve. If she was playing right now, she'd be an all-star. Surprises? Anyone who I won't make you say who they should replace, but who do you think should be on here? Anybody who are like, she's been hooping, she should be an all-star.
Kelsey Mitchell. Kelsey Mitchell is the leading scorer for Indiana. She's top 5 scoring in the league. She is an exciting player, and I've been seeing some different articles and things on Twitter lately, people just saying that this is a player that apparently has had other options to go other places, but is like choosing to buy into this rebuild. And so it's like, this stinks for her that she is a great player. I mean, she's proving that in kind of these statistics, and just unfortunately on a team that is the worst in the league. So it stinks that not all teams are represented. That would be cool if she was on that team, just so Indiana could have somebody there too. It's kind of like if you're trying to grow the league, shouldn't we have everyone?
Maybe I'm just gonna say no.
You don't think?
No, because I think when you're at the bottom, it's not. I don't know that grows the league. Just making sure that everyone's represented. Like that doesn't indicate having. How many All-Stars would there be then? There would need to be at least...
There's only 12 teams, 12 girls.
So that's saying only pick one from each team? That's not really fair.
All they had to do was take one away from some of these teams that had 3 selections.
But if you are truly balling and
Some of these girls, are they?
Okay, we are getting messy. Who shouldn't be on the list?
I'm not even getting messy. It's just you can't tell me the third player on one of these other teams really deserves it that much over the best player on this.
Kelsey Plum, Asia Wilson, Derica Hamby,
and Jackie Young. They got 4 players on that team.
They also have the best record in the league.
Absolutely.
So which one of them don't deserve to be on this list? If you say Asia, the show is over.
I really like her. We talked to her last night, but it's going to be Derica Hamby for me. I would put Kelsey Mitchell over her. Derica's stats are fine, and I don't like that I'm having to choose between the two. But I don't think that's a huge replacement. I don't feel like that would upset a ton of people. It makes a lot of sense in my mind. Derica's stats are 8.8 rebounds per game, ranks 4th in the league. That's awesome. And she's averaging 12.8 points per game. That's really great. It says that that's the second highest figure of her career right now.
Bye-bye, Miss Hamby. Okay, all right. Diana Taurasi, not an all-star. Thoughts? You don't think she deserved it? Fine, she's old, she's over the hill. You're saying because she's 40. Aegis.
I was not. That wasn't what I was going to say. I actually, looking at the stats, she's 12th in scoring in the league. She is kind of one of these people that the league have pushed for years. Like the figure.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. I'm not knocking. I'm just saying
previously her numbers were there. You're saying this year? They're not. And you didn't announce your retirement, so you don't get an honorary.
I'm saying I'm honestly shocked she's not on this for the same reasons that Sue and Sylvia they have announced their retirement, so maybe a little bit extra from that. But people love Diana. She has arguably the most fans in the league, I would say. And her stats being 12th, you would be like, oh, that's close enough to the top. She'll be in an all-star game. So I'm just kind of shocked that she didn't get voted in. I'm not mad at it. I'm not sad at it. I'm just like, wow, that I did not figure that would happen.
Yeah, agreed. I think very surprised to not see her as well, just because she's such a popular player. Yeah.
I honestly was a little surprised to see Natasha Howard. I feel like her stats are fine.
Mm-hmm.
She's 15th in the league in scoring. That ain't shabby. That's pretty great. Her field goal percentage is 47%. Rebounds per game, she's got 6.8. Tina Charles is not in the All-Star game. Tina's average is 14.4, a whole point over that, and she's averaging 7.1 rebounds, 0.3. Let's just even take the Phoenix of it all versus New York. Don't they have the same record? Like, why Natasha Howard? And I'm not saying for Tina. I did have to justify this argument because I accidentally thought she was an All-Star. Haha. Joke's on me.
She is a previous 9-time All-Star.
Yeah.
This year, not so much.
But that one, I just was like, why Natasha Howard? I'm not mad at it again. It's just like sometimes I'm trying to justify, like, were there a lot of New York fan votes? Is it that all tea, all shade, where people like, maybe we don't vote Tina because the move of it all?
I think that happens a little late after voting. Okay. This is where I think there is something happening in the background where it's like trying to get a more even spread, trying to not have it be just the top 4 teams. I think to some extent it's helpful when you're like All-Star games are for the fans. Like we want to see our favorite players play against each other and have an exciting game. It's not as exciting if you're just watching 4 Aces players, 3, just a lot of one team. It's like, okay, I'll just watch the game then. I think the numbers should matter, but when you're asking fans to vote, they don't care. Sue could have a terrible year. She's still your favorite. And so you're going to vote for her because I love Sue Bird.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And you know what? I was sitting there knocking Natasha Howard, and then you have to keep scrolling to find some of these other players. If we're just looking at the All-Stars and their points per game averages, I would have loved to see Alicia Gray on this roster as well. She's had an incredible year. This has been the best year of her career at Dallas. And Arike is the only All-Star on that team. That's a team that I feel like could have had two. But I don't know. When you start saying like, "Oh, this player was snubbed," then you have to look at it and say, "Well, whose spot am I taking away?"
Say it with your chest.
That's where it gets tough.
So let's start with Storm news.
Stews.
We went to the Las Vegas Aces Seattle Storm game on Wednesday night and got to see some really, really good basketball. Best game I've ever been to.
By far. That was so entertaining. I don't know if it's because we were gassed going into it. It's because the team was gassed going into it. It was incredible. Loved it.
Yeah. I think Seattle plays hard every game, with the exception of like one game.
Couple clunkers.
But the energy in that arena was up. Like they played up. They just did. And they played hard. It was electric being in there. Like it felt really good. I'll start with the Aces. Their starting 5, all superstars, all like dynamic players that it was just like the passing, the ball movement. They were all just very electric to watch and very, very entertaining.
They literally start 4 All-Stars this year, and then the 5th player, just Chelsea Gray, champion, an All-Star herself. They are just entertaining. Besides being, their basketball is just really great to watch. It's really fast-paced. I love their guard play, and then Asia's really extended her game. Besides all that, I just feel like they have great personalities. We were over on the side, and so you get to like hear a little bit and see more, and their players just seemed incredibly friendly and personable, and I love them.
Kelsey Plum is from this area. She went to UW. Lots of love for her. When she was announced, there was a little bit more like, hey, people excited that she was there. Yeah, it was good. Storm side, I didn't know if Tina was gonna start. I was very nervous. I'm an Ezzy stan, and I was like, please don't take time away from Ezzy. And so Ezzy got the start, so I was excited to see that.
2 quick fouls,
and then comes Tina.
to a standing ovation. Noelle kind of mentioned that too.
Yeah.
I like Seattle has very supportive fans. That
And-
crowd was incredible last night. It felt like a playoff game. That like there was a lot on the line. You didn't even have to ask people to get up. They were standing at timeouts. I mean, it was intense.
We were the sixth woman. Okay. I guess we're supposed to be non-biased. So the fans were. We as the media were seated and
Regular meeting,
making notes.
not reacting at all. I thought this was a really before we super jump into the storm stat about both teams, but women's basketball timeline, or WBB timeline, put out across the timeline said that the game versus the Storm and the Aces featured a record 7 former number 1 draft picks. Did you see that?
I didn't. I knew that we had 4. So.
Yeah, Sue, Tina, Jewel Lloyd, Brianna Stewart, Kelsey Plum, Asia Wilson, and Jackie Young. 7. That is
Star-studded.
incredible.
Yeah.
That's really awesome stat.
Yeah. Tina played well. I thought, okay. Tina played fine, I think, for her first game. As expected, I wasn't like, well, what's that chick from Minnesota who like flew in from overseas same day
Kayla McBride.
and like was like, hey, I'm here, turn it up.
Buckets.
I wouldn't have been mad if that was the performance we got.
My fantasy team felt the same. Didn't get the points we was looking for last night, Tina.
But she was a presence, and she was doing what, getting rebounds and getting double teamed right away, which opened it up for other people. Stephanie Talbot had an incredible game, just really lots of threes. She had a block that was like, okay, Steph, you can block too.
Kelsey Plum? Yeah, that was, she already has great size. Her shooting, I feel like she has when she shoots, I feel confident it's going in.
Yes.
But I do think she needs a little bit of space. So I think she really benefited last night from Tina pulling some of those things. We asked that kind of in the post game, what was working with that connection, which seemed really natural for them. Tina had an assist out to her on a wide open, and Noelle kind of commented on it too. There was a moment where Tina had at the top of the key, kicked it out, and there was no one near Talbot, and she just drained a 3. What did she have, 15 or 18 last night?
Something like that.
Talbot played 26 minutes. That's huge. She was 6 of 9 from the field, shooting 66.7%. That's pretty incredible. 15 points. She had 3 steals and 2 rebounds.
I feel like this is the best game she's had this year.
By far. Here's when she's on, it took minutes away from Gabby Williams, right? Mm-hmm. What I hope that can help do is let one of those 2 players have that kind of a night, because I feel like what's just been happening is we're hoping for a little bit from both of them, but this would be really great if they just kind of balanced each other like that. I'm wondering if that pressure will help kind of expand, that lack of pressure maybe will help expand. But you didn't come out of that game last night being like, this was the Tina first game. It was like everything clicked for the Storm and Tina's on that team.
Yeah. I also really liked seeing Tina and Ezzy on the floor at the same time, because we weren't sure if it was going to happen. So Coach had said it when Mercedes was healthy that, we as the media were asking like, oh, are we going to get to see Mercedes and Ezzy on the floor at the same time? Her answer was, that's not enough offense for us. Ezzy and Tina were allowed to be on the floor at the same time. If I'm reading between the lines, it says that Mercedes is the problem with that. Mercedes can't shoot.
That's exactly it. She can't. Like, she does not have that ability that Tina does. Tina, I would say, can knock down that shot pretty confidently. Yeah. Mercedes is great at what she does, and that's not it. She stays in her lane, which is the lane. The paint. Down low.
Yeah.
Flow shots. She trying.
Should we get into something else Coach said?
Yas.
Okay.
Tina mentioned a couple times specifically how excited she is to play for you as a coach. What were kind of the conversations like before this decision was made, and what about your specific coaching style do you feel like is going to mesh well with Tina's play for the remainder of the season?
The big thing that she says and that I hear is that she wants to be coach. Environment is everything, accountability is everything, and professionalism and all those things matter. That's kind of the conversation, is that we will offer that to you, not just me, but Polk, Eb, Perry. You'll get that from all of us at a high level. to be open-minded to whatever happens, whatever role. And I mean, to me, she's in a good pocket. She's in a good space. She said that she's bought in, and whatever we need her to do, she's willing to do whatever that is. And for me as a coach, that makes it a lot easier. But it's and the one thing she also stressed is just open communication and transparency, and that's also what I express as well. So we're on the same page with that for now, and hopefully we could keep her in this positive pocket of making her happy. And but I think at the end of the day, she's just coming in with an open heart, open mind, and knowing that she's surrounded with amazing players and the ability to impact the team and be vying for a championship.
I think the most interesting, perhaps problematic thing that I'm hearing here is a desire to keep Tina Charles happy. She has never said anything like that before. Why are you concerned with keeping Tina Charles happy? What does that mean if she's not?
That's the issue. I think that second question, what happens if she's not, is what scares everybody about Tina. It says that Tina is a player that has high demands and wants things the way she wants it. I'm not saying that bad. I thought it was really great that when she came here and had her press conference, she was like, there's bigger things happening in the world. I'm a basketball player that wants to win. I have things that I want done a certain way, so this is better for me. I was like, good for her. There's that end of the spectrum. There can also be a piece where that is just challenging as a team to make that fit.
Yeah.
It's not a surprise, like reading in between lines and saying that. I was a little taken aback that it was so blatantly put out there. Like, we got to keep Tina happy. But you know what? Say it with your chest. Clearly, everyone else been trying it. See if y'all can too. She seemed pretty happy last night dancing on the sidelines. It was one game. I'm not jumping ahead of myself, but
You're not, because after the game, you're like, oh, we're going to win the playoffs.
That felt different. The energy, that team totally. That was by far their best game of the season on every sense. Defensively, they were switching. They were like, they just had an energy that they haven't had. And the ball was flowing. Wow, the country just jumps out sometimes. The end of words just. Whew.
Shall we head to post game?
Oh my goodness.
We got to speak to Becky Hammon. Now, the footage is pretty bad. They set up a computer right in front of Becky Hammon's face, and so it don't look that great. But
however, the camera was, if I'm Becky, camera's me, the computer was like this, and she was essentially looking at the camera / over it at us.
Yeah, she was giving great eye contact to both of us. It was just that if I wanted it to happen, I had to raise the camera up. Really, that wasn't gonna happen. But yeah, that was really cool. Just talking to such a legend and just hearing from her. And neither one of us asked a question. We were very afraid she was gonna Greg Popovich us. And
I think I asked a question.
Did you?
To Becky?
Yeah. What'd you ask?
I can never remember what I asked anyone.
If you didn't, you fake.
Run the tape back. I can't remember.
I was very afraid that I was going to get a that's your question kind of look. And so I was scared.
I asked Coach, we spoke with Derica Hamby before she signed a contract extension the same day as the game. Just asked her what that meant. And she kind of commented on buying into what Las Vegas is doing, that she'd been with the organization since San Antonio and loved what they're building. So taking less money, but for peace of mind and loving where you're at made a lot of sense to her. And I try to kind of reiterate that back to Becky, like, why is that important that these players are buying in? I don't know if it was in this question, but they have a great leader in Asia Wilson. She was like, this is a player kind of coach. I know that I'm not in the locker room right now, but she's talking. That was not my question. But I think she was just saying, you know, like, we're in good hands. I really like where this team is going. And they've got a really amazing young core.
Yeah.
Just asked about that, you know. It was one of those questions. That was actually the whole question. It was that amount long. And then I said, so talk.
We also got to speak to my favorite player, Asia Wilson. Jackie Young was also there, as was Ileana
Ruper.
Ruper.
That is a beautiful name. Condola.
Ileana
Right here, folks. Crossover event you've all been waiting for. Balance Sports meets Insecure. Ileana Ruper sits down, and I look over at Jewelz, and I say, this is Condola.
That is exactly how that went. And I'm like staring at Asia, and then I go, yep. We're going to play a little excerpt I got to ask her a question. I was super nervous.
Yeah, you did.
It was another one of those moments for me where I'm like, I was super nervous the first time I asked Sue Bird a question. And then as I was kind of reading the room and I was like, oh, I'm going to get to ask this. Like, people aren't bombarding her. I just felt my chest go like, oh God, I'm going to have to say something. So anyway, here's the clip. Asia, you're extremely talented, MVP. Why aren't you one of the faces of the league?
She is.
I mean, I think she is. But why aren't they pushing you?
Why aren't they pushing me? I don't know. I feel like that's a question you got to ask the higher ups. One thing about me, I'm not going to switch up. I'm going to be who I am. That's just who I am no matter what. My parents have taught me to never switch up on anything, no matter what that spotlight shines on you, always shine brighter from within. And God is going to be by my side so I can be a face of this league. I don't have to be the face of the league. You're going to get Asia regardless, and I think that's the beauty of it. But I think, without saying it, we all know why that. But at the same time, you know, I just play my part and have fun while doing it. I get to play against these great women and play alongside of great women, so they're not going to dim my light.
Do you think, last follow-up here, do you think it's important that a league that is 85% black has a face that is black?
Yes, for sure. I think it is. I think when you look at young girls that want to be in this league, it's nice to have someone that looks like you do what you want to do. And that's something that you don't see always, especially when it comes to the black woman. She swept underneath the rug, probably the person that you really don't ever think about. And when you're in a league that is predominantly black, it's always good to have that face there to tell those young girls, those young Jackies, those young Ileanas, those Asias, that your dreams can come true if you just stick to it. You don't have to sell yourself short because of the color of your skin, or because of the way you talk, or because of your sexuality. And I think it's very important for that. I would love to be the face. I think I'm a face as a whole just by being who I am. But it's always good to let those girls dream. If you can see her, you can be her.
Thank you.
Obsessed.
Oh man, yeah. She said a lot of good nuggets there. One that I thought was really important was a straight black woman speaking to sexuality and saying that it doesn't matter about your sexuality. You can still lead this league and be a face for this league. I would call that an act of being an ally.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciated that.
I thought the same thing listening to that just then. I thought, what more could you ask for someone who should be the face of the league than even in the moment when they're asked a question about like race being the issue, you throw in these other things that of like their importance. It speaks a lot to her.
It really does.
Freaking loved that.
She also had a great game.
Monster game.
Yeah.
Gosh, she's so good. I've never seen her play in person, and it's just effortless while also, she would make a basket and get an and one, and the tenacity she had. She's a fighter. I really liked watching her play. The question was really great. I like how personable she was even before sitting down. You asked that, and then someone kind of followed up with a question along those same lines, and she was like, y'all are asking me these tough questions. It's late in Seattle and there ain't nowhere to eat. She's just funny.
She has a great personality. Quite frankly, I don't know why they're not pushing her, but we do, right? I thought that was a great answer. I thought she had so much personality. I thought I couldn't take my eyes off her. Why isn't she? Superstar. And the reality is, honestly, every time we get the opportunity to talk with an athlete and hear from them, I'm like, oh my God, I want to hear more from you. I just want to just talk to me, say things. You're interesting. You have a story to tell. You have opinions and things you care about. Tina Charles, in her first interview with the Storm, someone asked her about her foundation, and I was like, oh wow, she
passionately spoke about it.
Passionately, something that she deeply cares about. She shared that she donates her entire WNBA salary to her foundation.
I did not understand that, actually. I'm gonna have to do some research. That made no sense to me. I was like, so where's your money come from?
Overseas. The money that she's already I'm assuming endorsements. If she doesn't have endorsements, then her overseas money that she has made, because they pay so much more than the WNBA. So her however much check, she can go to funding AED kits so that if you have a nonprofit or an organization and you need an AED kit, you contact them, 300 words as to why this thing is important, and you get a life-saving device. And her organization has funded a device that did save someone's life. That's incredible. When she shared that, I was like, we should reach out to people and just highlight their foundations. Like, this is really cool.
That next episode, she donates her entire WNBA salary. You brought this up. Why don't we ever know WNBA player salaries? DeJounte Murray, I'm only using this because he got traded within the last 24 hours. I can tell you how much he's getting paid per game. And what? We don't even hear. I just don't understand the secrecy of it. It is a business. It's, if you're trying to model after this thing, it's just an entertainment factor. It's not a big issue, but why don't we know about that?
Okay. I am someone who loves the podcast Death, Sex, and Money. Need to talk about these things more. And so, yeah, I think like in our culture, we don't talk about finances. It's weird. And it's also like, there's an implication. If you make X, then I'm judging you. If I make X, you're judging me. Or like, oh, you spend your little bit of money on this. Oh, you spend a lot of money on that. So that's kind of why we don't talk about money. But within the boys league, the NBA, it's a very normal thing to say he signed for this much and it's this long, and we just know that. So it's odd that on the WNBA side, we know nothing. And I'm like, why? What does it hurt to tell how much Tina's making from this? And or like I just don't get it. And it kind of like, if you know the men's league is sharing all this information, then there's an expectation that a very similar game would also share that information. Feels like one of those things where people are like, the WNBA is not there yet. Well, what's not there yet about just sharing
a contract? It's not there is the tweet. It's pretty simple. Just someone released the fax paper and I'll talk about it. It doesn't take much, but that kind of made me think about this other thing that Asia said when you asked her that question. And it was, I don't have to be the face. There are so many faces of this league. Just highlight more. That's what all we're asking is get more of those stories out. And I'm wondering, a year removed from knowing that Sue and Sylvia, I do think they're garnering a ton of this attention, right? And I'm trying to liken it to Kobe. Like the year that we knew he was retiring, it was all about him and his stats weren't where they were. And you could say maybe the same about these two, but we were all just like, this is a legend. Let's honor him. So I'm wondering if a year removed from those two, when you don't have maybe next year it'd be Diana or Candace, who knows? But I'm wondering if it just spreads more out evenly or if this is going to just keep continuing. You know what I mean? Snowballing, you would love to see it, but those things make sense that you're pushing Sylvia and Sue. I'm wondering in a year where you don't know legends are retiring, how much spontaneity we would see and like celebrations of more players.
To me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to just push a high school example. I don't think it makes a ton of sense to just push the seniors and not support the sophomore. Like, from a business perspective, you want this to be a full circle thing. You want it to be quite seamless. I don't want September to come and then it's like, bye Sue, bye Sil, and here's Ryan, meet Ryan Howard. Like, what? Asia Wilson, here's new person, like
rising sophomore Ryan. It's like, what?
This should be a continuous machine of support and just constantly giving flowers, constantly highlighting, constantly sharing stories so that we care about these players and we know them.
Do you feel like it is that right now?
No, I do think they're pushing some people. It's weird that there's like specific people who they're like, we'll push you and you and you. Like, there's 12 teams, over 100 and
12 times 11. Oh, it's 132.
So 132 women athletes available to push, support, talk about.
Nope, just these three.
Just the three. Why? Like,
how do you decide that? Markets, I'm for real. It seems, I really understand the business thing of it, but you do have to feel like if you're one of those players, like, I'm safe, I'm good. If something happens, like I got that WNBA contract, they can't cut me. They won't do this.
Yes, we're going to end fighting. What are we fighting about?
Always. What are we fighting about?
To close out Pride Month, this episode of Fight Me, we're going to do our favorite 3 openly gay players. Very specific around here.
We love a draft.
1, 2, 3, shoot. 1, 2, 3, shoot. Damn it.
I'm starting with BG.
That's a great selection.
Yeah.
Great selection.
PG legend. I mean, we would dominate on the court and off the court. It's over.
I'm going to go Jonquel Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great selection.
I think so,
okay,
too.
now I'm going to go through every team, and I feel like, because Jonquel Jones would have slipped my mind, and I feel like I'm slipping now.
Don't be disrespectful.
Oh, my God, it's Candace. It's over. Brittany and Candace?
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't even need a third, but I got a great one.
Okay. For my second selection, I will be picking Elena Deladon.
Her and her wife be making you some tables.
We love a craftsman.
Craftswoman?
A craftswoman, excuse me.
My third selection is going to be Sydney Colson for the Las Vegas Aces. She is so funny.
I'm going to pick Courtney Williams.
Okay.
Versatility, a little spark of blonde. I myself, as a former bleached blonde, am here for it.
We're going to see that come back this summer.
Absolutely. No,
The
Liz
tips?
said I can't. I've never dyed my own hair.
All right, we got to go for Balance Sports. We're running to Walgreens. No. Shout out. If you want to sponsor us, Walgreens, we will dye our hair. If you want to send us to Las Vegas,
All-Star game.
we're looking for anyone to sponsor us. Do you love blue cabinets?
For Balance Sports, I'm Jewelz.
I'm Hunter.
Yeah, thank you for asking. My foundation, Hopi's Heart Foundation, is in memory of my late aunt, Maureen Vaz, who passed away from multiple organ failure. Prior to her passing away, March 9, 2013, I read an article on a high school basketball player, Wes Leonard, in Detroit, Michigan, who passed away from sudden cardiac arrest when your heart suddenly stopped, and his high school didn't have an AED. And so I was very intrigued by it. And then I looked up what an AED was and the importance of it. And when I saw the device, I never received the orientation on it and how important it is for every institution to have this device. And so, up to that point, I was very active in the community, and I just wanted to put my efforts into raising awareness to sudden cardiac arrest. So right now, the foundation serves as an AED grant program, where anybody, any nonprofit can go to the website and just explain in 300 words why you think the device is important to you, and we'll donate you a free AED. The way you see AEDs is the way you should see it as fire extinguishers. The way you go to a school and your routine, your protocol for a fire is the way you should have for an AED. We've been fortunate and saw the fruits of our labor. We were able to save a life July 13, 2017. Mr. Dan Carlson, he was outside, and the AED we donated to his organization, another employee was able to revive him. So I'm very thankful. We've placed over 433 AEDs. I personally donate my entire WNBA salary to my foundation just to keep communities' heart safe. So Hopi's Heart Foundation is very dear to my heart. I'm very blessed and fortunate to have this platform and just keep communities' heart safe. Right now, we have a rebounding challenge that anybody can pledge any dollar amount per rebound that I get. And I plan on matching it just to place these AEDs. So, we all have a platform out here. We all have something that's dear to our heart. And for me, it's AED placement and raising awareness to sudden cardiac arrest. So I thank you for that question.